The first ingredients that you need is your beef. This is stewing beef, about 250 grams to 500 grams. Then you're going to need your onion and potatoes. I've got 3 large potatoes chopped and 2 onions chopped up there as well. Once you've got them prepared, you're going to need to get yourself 2 beef stock cubes that have been crushed up. I've added garlic granules, salt and pepper to that. I've got carrot, 1 large carrot that I've diced here. In this bowl, I've got 2 tablespoons of flour. It's going to be a thickening agent later. I've got all my seasonings, so salt, rock salt I'm using here. I've also got some tomato puree, which is also another thickening agent. I've got oil, which is obviously essential to brown off the meat. I've got my secret ingredients, which is balsamic vinegar, but there's other things that you can use, which I'll explain later, and pepper, because obviously salt and pepper is essential when we come to season our food. The first thing that we're going to do is add oil into our pan and brown off our meat. The browning of this meat is called the Maillard effect, and this is when the meat starts to denature. After a while, you'll see it gone really brown and dark like this. You need to take that out of the pan, but leave the juices in there. So you can see that I'm spooning it out and placing it onto a plate, because those juices and the liquid that's in the pan is needed for our onions. Into the pan is going to go your onions that you've sliced, and that goes into all the juices from the meat. And we're going to do these till they go really soft, and we're going to saute them till they go golden brown. They must be cooked in all the juices that are already there, but I also add in a little bit of extra oil just to help to saute them off. So we don't want to add too much oil at this point, because we don't want to make it oily. You'll notice that the bottom of the pan is quite brown and sticky at this point. That's not an issue. That we want that to happen, because that's going to give extra flavour into the dish. I also find I add in a little bit of water into the onions. Helps to steam them and makes them go really soft and saute off really well, ready for the next bit. Once your onions have sauteed, you're going to add in your carrots. You'll know when to add them because your onions will go soft, and just give them a good mix through into the mixture, and we want to soften them off slightly as well. Once the onions and the carrots are soft, re-add in your meat with all the juices that have drained off it while it's been sat on one side, and give this a good mix through. It's going to add extra flavour to those vegetables that are already in the dish. Keep mixing them through so that the heat doesn't catch it, but the meat will continue to brown as you do this. In most beef stews at this point, you would add 2 glasses of red wine. Obviously, this is something we can't do, but if you are doing it at home with the supervision of adults, you will cook it off until the red wine completely dissolves. Then add in 2 tablespoons of flour, exactly like you've just seen me do. This flour is a thickening agent. It helps to create a sauce later on. The flour will help the dish to gelatinise and become thick and create that really nice stock that you will get. Once you've done that, you're going to add in your potatoes and make sure they are also really well covered in the flour to help to create a nice thick gravy or sauce later on. So give them a good mix round. Once that's happened, you're going to add in your additional seasoning to the dish. So in this case, it's my beef stock cubes, my garlic granules, my salt and pepper, and I also added some extra herbs in there, some thyme and oregano. So I'm going to mix them through so they're really well coated along with the flour that is already in there. And the dish has become quite thick at this point, so don't panic, that's supposed to happen. Now the last thickening agent we're going to add into this dish is some tomato puree. This is obviously completely optional, but it is found within all beef stews, and it's about a tablespoon's worth of tomato puree to just thicken up again the dish. Now there's lots of thickening agents within it, but that's because a stew should not be too wet. It should have a really thick gravy later on. So to make the actual gravy, we need to add our liquid. So I'm going to start off with 300 ml of water just to mix it all round and start to make the sauce. Obviously, as you can see, this is not enough to cover the actual meat and vegetables for them to braise. So I'm going to add another 300 to 400 ml of water now till it covers my meat and vegetables. And what's going to happen is we're going to put this on to cook for about 2.5 to 3 hours, which I know is a long time, but it's essential for the collagen, the protein within the beef, to break down and become really soft. And for this to happen, the beef has to braise, which means cooking liquid slowly on a small to medium heat for a long period of time. And the natural protein, the collagen in the meat, will denature and become really soft and succulent. So I tend to put my lid on for the first 30 to 40 minutes, then take it off and give it a good mix because it will stick. At this point, I add in any special ingredients. So in this case, I always add balsamic vinegar. If you don't have that, other great things are brown sauce. That works really well. Marmite works really well. And as you know already, miso, which I love, is also great. I add about 2 tablespoons worth in at this point, but I tend to add more later on when I check the seasoning as well. So my dish here has been cooking for the 2.5 hours, and you can see that sauce has gone really thick, really succulent. I did add some more seasoning into it, so I did add more balsamic vinegar into some extra salt and pepper to finish it off. But after 2.5 hours, this is exactly how your stew should look.